You think you know the stories, but the deepest secrets are still waiting to be unrolled. Welcome back to Hidden Scrolls.
For 3 years, the heavens had been locked. No rain, no dew. Only the biting sting of the sun. King Ahab searched for water, but he found only the consequences of his own rebellion. Then, out of the heat, the man the king hated most appeared like a ghost. "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" the king spat. But Elijah didn't flinch. "I have not troubled Israel," he replied, "but you and your father's house have." He issued a challenge that would settle the debt once and for all. Summon the prophets of Baal, all 450 of them, 1 mountain, 2 altars, and a God who must answer by fire. The rules were simple. Build the altar, lay the wood, but put no fire to it. The morning passed, the sun climbed, but the sky remained silent. High noon arrived. The heat was a physical weight, but the altar of Baal remained cold and dead. They cried louder. They cut themselves until the dirt turned to mud. But there was no voice. Elijah began to taunt them. "Shout louder," he mocked. "Maybe your God is busy, perhaps he is traveling, or maybe he's just taking a nap and needs to be woken up." By mid-afternoon, the fire of their frenzy had burned out. Only the sound of the wind remained. Now it was his turn. He didn't use the altar of Baal. He rebuilt the one that had been torn down. 12 stones, 1 for every tribe, a monument built on a foundation of broken promises. He made it impossible. He drenched the wood until it was dripping. He filled the trenches with life-giving water. He didn't need luck. He didn't need a spark. He was waiting for a sovereign answer. The prophets were silent. The wood was soaked. And then, the heavens finally answered. It didn't start with a spark. It began with a roar from the throne of God. The fire didn't just burn the sacrifice. It licked up the wood, the stones, and even the dust. One moment of power did what 3 years of drought couldn't. The people finally remembered. "The Lord, He is God," they cried. "The Lord, He is God." The false prophets had no place in the new kingdom. Justice was swift and final. The fire had fallen, but the land was still dry. Now, Elijah prayed for the sky to break. "I see a cloud," the servant whispered, "small as a hand, rising from the sea." The drought was over. The heavens had opened. The rain came in a flood of mercy. With the hand of the Lord on him, Elijah outran the king's fastest horses. The fire proved he was God. The rain proved he was king. But on the horizon, a new shadow was rising. The rain brought life to the land, but it brought a death sentence to the prophet. Jezebel sent a messenger with a vow. By this time tomorrow, Elijah would be a memory. The man who stood against 400 prophets now ran from the shadow of one woman. "It is enough," he whispered to the silence. "Lord, take my life." But God does not answer despair with judgment. He answers with a touch. "Arise and eat," the messenger said. For the journey was too great for him alone. Strengthened by that single meal, he traveled 40 days into the heart of the mountain. A great wind tore the mountains, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was in neither. Then came a sound, not a roar, but a whisper. The voice Elijah had been searching for all along. In the whisper, Elijah found what the fire couldn't give, a new purpose and a final mission. The voice led him to a field, to a man named Elisha, who was tethered to his past. No words were exchanged. The mantle was the message. The call was a weight he had to choose to carry. To follow the fire, he had to burn his bridge. He destroyed the tools of his old life to embrace the new. The time had come. The chariots of heaven were already descending for the man who outran death. In a whirlwind of gold and flame, the prophet who was fed by ravens was taken by the sun. The man was gone, but the power remained. The mantle had found its new home, a double portion of spirit for a new generation. The story of fire didn't end. It simply changed hands, and the story continues through those who answer the call.